It isn't often that video games cross an emotional or introspective boundary when I'm playing them. Stories, narratives, and interactive experiences that are crafted so well that they leave a lasting impact on me. My journey through Night City wasn't just a quest for power or a hunt for cybernetic thrills, it was one that unexpectedly mirrored the struggles and aspirations that punctuate our daily lives. The game's themes of ambition, identity, and a quest for meaning struck a chord with me. Like many of you, I faced the dark shadows of college debt, the labyrinthine paths of finding a career and purpose, and the persistent belief that I need to be more than what I already am. In Cyberpunk 2077, these aren't just background elements of the story, these are pivotal aspects of the world and its characters. And as we venture through this analysis, you'll see that this game becomes a mirror reflecting the struggles and dreams of our own life in its neon-tinted streets. I try to take the time to look for meaning in all of life's experiences, regardless if that's out in the real world or in the digital ones. And video games, much like books, have value for us to extract from them. These storytellers have stories to be heard if we're only making ourselves available to listen to them in the first place. This video is very much a return to roots for me, getting back to these introspective discussions on how we engage with stories and how we should in the future. Cyberpunk 2077 is a treasure trove of meaningful experiences if you only make yourself available for it. Cyberpunk 2077 is one of my most valued gaming experiences ever. There was this question from Dexter to Sean at the very beginning of the game that stuck with me my entire playthrough and even still today.
Would you rather live in pieces, Mr. Nobody, die ripe, old, and smelling slightly of urine, or go down for all times in a blaze of glory, smelling near like posies, without seeing your 30th?
I remember reading this article at some point saying that kids today don't want to be doctors, scientists, or astronauts. They want to be social media influencers and content creators. And I realize that this is just a microcosm of something that's been present in all of us that's only been magnified by technology, and that's our struggles with significance. We want to be remembered, we want to leave a mark, we want other people to think that we matter, we want to think that we matter, and we want the things that we do to be important. At its core, the narrative arc of V, the protagonist of Cyberpunk 2077, is an exploration into individual importance in an overwhelmingly indifferent world. V's journey, marked by the desperate struggles against the relentless ticking clock of a fatal cybernetic implant, becomes a metaphor for the universal human quest for significance. As I traversed the neon-lit streets of Night City, making choices that shaped V's destiny, I grappled with the questions of legacy, identity, and the value of one's life in a society where human existence is just as disposable as outdated technology. V's dream is to be the biggest in Night City, to be infamous, to be rich, to be powerful, and that's something that I can resonate with, and I'm sure quite a lot of other people can as well. We want to make sense of the things that happen to us, the life that we are given, the opportunities that we take, and those that we miss. We want our lives to matter. Whether it's the intro to Cyberpunk or the later body of the game, V is always struggling to survive and make a name for themselves. Always starting with a problem and searching for a solution. The very premise of working for Dexter Deshawn and infiltrating Arasaka Tower at the beginning of the game is meant to provide you with a one-shot solution, one big score, V attaining everything they need and desire in one fell swoop. And V learns the lesson that many of us with those type of wishes have learned long ago. No one and no one thing can solve all of your problems. And even if there was something that can, it never comes easy. You have to work for it, only to eventually create another problem or another goal soon after. Just as V metaphorically and literally rose to the top and fell to rock bottom, having their trust and desperation betrayed by the very thing they thought would save them, by the life that they thought they wanted to live, many of us find ourselves having to make our own way, saving ourselves in some occasions and starting over. How many times have you said to yourself, if I just had this one thing, if this one thing happened to me, then all of life's issues would be solved? For a lot of people, it's a big old bag of cartoon cash that fell right into your lap, and you're like, man, now I get to live the best life ever. And I resonate with that, by the way, because I've been that person. I can still be that person from time to time. I dropped out of college because I felt like my art didn't stack up to that of my peers. I got into a dead-end job. I was saddled with college debt, and I got into a band, and I thought that band was going to be my savior. I knew it. I was convinced that this was the way, that some executive was going to find our demos on YouTube and say, we're going to be the next best thing. And I would travel, and I would be rich and famous, and everybody would love me. And as you can tell, that's not actually what happened. Because that's not what happens, at least not most of the time. And that's okay. Because I realize that these stories are something to be taken from the perspective of the player, right? And you might take some different meaning from all of this than I would. But from my perspective, what I took from this was that these dangerous expectations and dreams that V has, these aspirations that are damaging to them. I've been there. I've been that person. I've had those same aspirations, those same expectations of life, thinking that I would be the person that all of these great things would happen to. But that's not realistic. And it was one of those moments where I got to reflect and realize just how much I have grown as a person over the years, realizing that it's the difficult, short, and methodical steps that you take to becoming secure and successful and happy. And I think that's incredibly valuable. I think that's a really valuable experience to have. And it's a great story to reflect on. Now, earlier I touched on the theme of personal significance in Cyberpunk 2077, a concept underscored by both the game's main characters and a myriad of NPCs that are populating the streets of Night City. The game has such a diverse number of NPCs with rarely any repetition. Even when the same NPC does appear, they're found in different locations and so sporadically that it's really difficult to remember any of them. This attention to detail not only enriches the game's world, but reinforces the game's focus on individuality. This extends to almost every main character that you encounter, each personifying unique aspects of identity. These nuanced portrayals bring all of these characters to life, offering narratives that collectively paint a detailed picture of the struggle for self and significance in a bleak future. Johnny Silverhand represents rebellion and anti-establishment ideals. His radical solutions and forceful nature sometimes come into conflict with V's internal decision-making. Judy's character deals with themes of emotional vulnerability and resilience. Panam embodies freedom, community, and loyalty. River represents a sense of duty. Through these characters and their stories, Cyberpunk 2077 not only portrays individuality as a crucial aspect of the human experience, but also examines how it's shaped, challenged, and expressed in a world where boundaries are increasingly blurred. Cyberpunk 2077 does a really good job at making every single character feel unique, but also making sure that each one of those characters still belong in the greater narrative, or even just in side narratives of the game. They belong there. And I think while a lot of other games will have unique NPCs or unique characters that you will interact with, a lot of the times when they try to make characters unique, they end up feeling fractured, and the experience feels fractured as a result of that. And I think what's really interesting here is that though each one of these characters embody a completely different meaning, a completely different personality, there's always a common thread throughout this entire game, and that's a sense of loyalty and community, regardless of whatever character that you interact with. River has his family, Panam has her tribe, Judy has the girls at Cloud. Even Johnny has his old crew. And that's a theme that's going to continue to play a role throughout the rest of this game and through the rest of this video. But it's something that I find really powerful in a game that is overrun with technology, as we have seen in the modern world where technology is only served to make us more distant from one another rather than close. Now, a lot of Cyberpunk's greater narrative didn't really come into focus for me until I started Carrie Uridine's quests, and I've seen a lot of people interpret his story differently, which is probably true for as much of my analysis so far. However, this is something that resonated with me the most. While some are going to write off his story as abject narcissism with a dash of comic relief, his story contrasting with the overall darker tones present in Cyberpunk 2077, I saw Carrie's story as someone that was desperate, alone, and losing their sense of identity. His excitement, the excitement that we get to see when he takes out the Us Cracks van, shows just how much he misses his days in Samurai. His desperation to get out of the deal with Us Cracks proves he just doesn't want to be thought of as a sellout. And eventually he confesses to us that he just doesn't want to be forgotten. He doesn't want to be a supporting character.
Talk to me.
See, thought I was afraid everybody think me another corpo slave. But I was just afraid I'd be in someone's shadow again.
Again?
Lived in Johnny's for years. Part of the scenery, machinery, helping him shine brighter. Never believed I'd make it on my own without Silverhand.
That why he left Samurai? Fuck.
But you did make it. Big, too. Only diehards remember Samurai now. You, everybody knows your name.
You think that changes anything? Wake up with the same thought every damn day. That I might somehow fade into this town's steam, stench, murk. For good. Night City's a city of shadows. Done everything I could to walk clear of them for years.
Almost anyone can relate to this. While Carrie's story may be over the top, the theme of not wanting to be forgotten, not wanting to be in someone else's shadow, not fading into the background, resonates. Carrie lived in Johnny's shadow while in Samurai. He struggled to make a name for himself thereafter. He then succeeded and eventually found himself fading into the background regardless. I feel as though the choices that I made in the story, allying Carrie with the Us Cracks, gave him something that he was missing: purpose and community. Casting off the dead weight of self-loathing, rediscovering a creative outlet, and having people to share that with is incredibly powerful and sometimes can be life-changing. Carrie's story meant a lot to me. And it might have just been the timing, because at the time I was working a shutdown, and in my industry, that's when we work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for 45 to 55 days straight. And I probably don't need to tell you how difficult that is. But during those times, it's very easy to lose sense of oneself. It's very easy to lose track of the things that we're passionate about. It's very easy to lose track of the things that we care about the most. And experiencing the story of Carrie, seeing this person that had everything, lost everything, has no sense of passion anymore, and also on top of that, no community, and then seeing them reconnect with that passion, reconnect with that creative outlet, and then also find a community that not only appreciates them, but also appreciates that creative outlet as well, is incredibly powerful, because that's something that everybody needs to have. And I'm not saying we need to have YouTube channels or be musicians or anything like that. I'm saying that we have to have something that we can share with other people. And it gave me time to reflect and realize how much this means to me, how much I enjoy making videos and writing essays and doing research and sharing that all with you and seeing your feedback and how much you guys appreciate it, whether that's in the comments, in the Discord, or in the live streams. It's incredibly empowering, but it's only empowering because you're passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. And making sure that we have something that we're passionate about and never letting go of it is probably one of the most valuable lessons you could ever be taught. And I really hope that is something that people derive from this game and its story. But it's not the most powerful part of this game. V, Carrie, and Johnny's stories all share something similar, and it's something that I believe is the key theme of this entire game. Will I be remembered? Later in Cyberpunk 2077, you go to visit Johnny Silverhand's grave.
So that's how it is. Nothing here at all.
What did you expect? Headstone, flag, and flowers?
No. I don't know. A marker. Something. Anything.
We'll figure something out. Better now?
A bit. But let's say it was my real grave. What would you write? Here lies Johnny Silverhand.
Night City legend.
Sounds good, but what does it really mean? What did I achieve shouting chipping in to a bunch of angry, pimply kids?
You gave those kids hope. That the suits couldn't buy everything.
I remember what I thought on stage. That even if they all
Johnny
died
mentions
for
how
their
it feels like he
ideals,
never even existed, though the bombing he committed doesn't have any meaning. Arasaka Tower is still right there where he nuked it years ago. The corpos that he fought are still standing there above the people. Even actions as drastic as Johnny's ultimately wound up meaning nothing. His existence erased, not even leaving a gravestone. I sat there after this part of the discussion, drowned in contemplation and abject nihilism. Is life really this meaningless? Is our struggle to find meaning, to find success, and to be remembered just a societal construct or some unobtainable dream meant for a select few chosen by destiny? Something only to be erased by time, covered up, and forgotten? And then Johnny mentions sometimes he wakes up and he feels like he's back for a while.
When I wake up, feels like I'm back for a while.
What do you mean, back?
Well, like I got this body to myself, like I'm free. Seconds later, feels like I'm missing something really important. Then I realize you're there, always were, and this stupid wave of relief washes over me.
Then I realize you're there, always were, and a stupid wave of relief washes over me. Now you can take this in a couple different ways. You could see this as Johnny's actually just happy to not be back. Or you could see that the moral of this game, the story of Cyberpunk 2077, is a story of people. It always has been. Whether it's River or Judy or Pan Am or V, it's always about people and your connections to them, the memories that you share, the things that you do together. It's not about how much money that you obtain. It's not about the things that you achieve or earn. It's just about the connections and the relationships that you form, just like it is in real life. This idea, this narcissistic idea that we have to be more than we are, that I'm not being enough, that I'm not enough and I have to push myself to be more. I have to achieve more in order to be important, in order to leave a mark, in order to be remembered is ridiculous. Because we're all surrounded by people that will remember us. And that's what's the most important thing. I really enjoyed playing this game. And I didn't enjoy it for the gameplay. I did enjoy the gameplay, but I didn't expect this game to have such a powerful narrative as it does. And I feel like a lot of these stories are stories that could be taken from a lot of different perspectives. Everybody can find all kinds of different meaning in a lot of these different narratives that you can interact with in Cyberpunk 2077. And I encourage everybody to go back and play the game again, or play it in a different way, or engage with different stories. But I also encourage people to engage with stories in games and make themselves a little bit more available to those stories as well. And I think that was something that really set my experience apart from my typical experiences playing a lot of other games, is that just because of when I played this game and how available or emotionally available I made myself to really understand the story and the meaning of the things that the game was trying to tell me, it hit home. And I really appreciate that. This is a genuinely enjoyable experience. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.